marked 1 year in the Kenyan market, and this is just the beginning. So, what's next? The museum is now bringing the magic to the corporate world with dynamic team-building experiences that blend fun, creativity, and collaboration. For every school trip sponsored, the museum matches it with tickets, doubling the impact and opening a world of learning for more students. Want to be a part of the experience? Just search Museum of Illusions Nairobi online and discover more through their website. Good evening. I'm Peter Kamau, and this is TV47 Prime. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. Kenyans continue to express mixed reactions following the latest fuel price reduction by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. While the cut offers some relief, many say it is not enough to offset the high cost of living. Citizens are now calling for further interventions, including lower transport fares and reduced price of basic goods. Faith Wangari reports.
The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority has sparked mixed reactions among Kenyans after lowering fuel prices, taking into account global crude oil price changes, an intervention directive by President William Ruto, input costs, and the performance of the Kenyan shilling against the US dollar. The new fuel prices announced on Wednesday are being seen as a relief by many.
Tunaweza sema imejaribu lakini haijajaribu vile inafaa kwa sababu hii ni kama tuseme ni kama mtu kwa kijiji amekuja akakushoot na wakati amekushoot anakuja tena anakulipia bili ya hospitali. Anasema sasa amekusaidia. Hakuna kukusaidia, amekusaidia. Kwa sababu hiyo mafuta ndio ifike 206, wao ndio walikuwa wamepandisha ikafika huko.
However, many Kenyans say the move is still not satisfactory, calling on to the government to further reduce fuel prices.
Ikiwa imepanda na 40 ishuke na 50. Hapo ndio watakuwa wamesaidia mwananchi.
Traders also say the reduction could ease the cost of transporting goods, helping to stabilize prices of consumers. However, some Kenyans insist that more needs to be done to ensure that the benefits are directly reflected in transport fares and market prices.
Ilikuwa 200, lakini fare kama kutoka town mpaka huku ilikuwa kitu kama 50. Haijabadilika ati imerudi 30. Saizi hata ndio imeongezeka na mbao juu.
In various parts of the country, residents say the reduction in fuel prices is expected to lower transport costs, a move that could also lead to a decrease in the prices of essential commodities.
Tunauliza unaweza ongeza mafuta aje na shilingi 30, then unasema tumepunguza na shilingi 9. Hapo hakuna kitu serikali imeanguza, na hapo hiyo ni kutuchezea kama sisi wananchi.
For now, all eyes are on players in the transport and business sector to see whether they will implement changes that align with the drop in fuel prices. Fuel prices have eased after the latest review by IPRA and the government cautioning consumers amid the global market instability. This is followed through the targeted subsidies through the Petroleum Development Levy. Faith Wangari, TV47, Kiambu County.
As global fuel prices continue to rise, Uganda is now feeling the heat with a sharp increase in pump prices, triggering higher transport costs. The surge is piling pressure on households and businesses, with operations warning of further fare adjustments in the trend if the trend persists. Saddam Bale has more.
Despite public outcry, fuel prices in Kampala remain relevantly lower compared to other East African cities. Nairobi records the highest prices in the region, followed by Kigali and Dar es Salaam, according to regional pump price surveys.
Kwa maana hapo kitambo sasa mafuta tulikuwa tunanunua kwa lita tunanunua shilingi 4,400 kama 50 hapo. Lakini saa hii 5,000 lita kwa lita na 700.
These developments are also taking a toll on businesses. Nelson Patanel, a car importer based in Kampala, explains how the rising fuel costs have affected his operations.
The fuel prices have gone up. It has affected our business. Right now, if you look at the charges we are incurring, our cars from Mombasa, it's really expensive. Port charges have gone high. Everyone in the industry is just pushing prices up. So,
at Uganda-Kenya border point, some Kenyans have reportedly been crossing into Uganda to purchase fuel, citing relatively lower prices compared to their home country.
Walisema mafuta isipandishwe bei.
lakini sasa hivi naona mafuta imepandishwa. Nafikiria watu wenye wanafanya biashara ya mafuta naonekana kama wanajaribu serikali, kwa maana nilisikia rais amesema mafuta Uganda kunayo mingi, hakuna mtu kuongeza.
Commuters and transport operators say they are feeling the strain, with many forced to cut down on travel or increase fares, ultimately passing the burden on to passengers.
Now, when it comes to people like us who are using public means, it is becoming very difficult because by then you have been getting a border for 5,000 to Kampala, but right now a border is at 8,000, which is greatly affecting our pockets.
Sada Mubale, TV47, Nairobi.
The National Assembly has passed the VAT Amendment Bill 2026, slashing fuel tax from 16% to 8% for a 3-month period. Lawmakers say the temporary relief is aimed at cushioning Kenyans against the rising cost of fuel and living. Sheila Chelangat now reports.
With the country facing rising cost of living pressures, the National Assembly has passed the Value-Added Tax Amendment Bill 2026, reducing VAT on petroleum products from 16% to 8%.
As members of that opinion say aye. Those of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
This comes just a day after the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority (EPRA) announced a reduction in fuel prices, with petrol dropping by 9 shillings and diesel by 10 shillings and 21 cents.
We are not just reducing fuel cost, but we are saving our economy.
The passage of the bill now means that for the next 3 months, Kenyans are expected to experience some relief at the pump, a move that received overwhelming support from members of parliament who say the House is responding to a national economic strain impacting households and businesses.
We need to look on how we can even do more. We have the Honourable Speaker fuel levy that we also can do something to reduce, so that Honourable Speaker, we can even go further down when it comes to the prices of diesel and petrol.
They argue that Kenya must align its fuel pricing framework more closely with neighboring countries to remain competitive.
And I like the idea of the 90 days, because if the situation improves because of the war, then we can go back to 16%, but we'll have taken care of our people so that Kenyans don't suffer more than they have suffered.
However, a section of legislators expressed concern over the temporary nature of the tax cut, warning that short-term interventions may offer limited relief without long-term structural changes.
The 5 shillings and 40 cents that we pay for stabilization should have also been waived alongside the reduction of the VAT for that period that is in question, so as to give the consumers more relief.
Attention now shifts to whether the tax cut will translate into sustained lower cost of living, or if Kenyans will face a sharp rebound once the 3-month relief window lapses. Sheila Chelangat for TV47.
Kenya's economy is coming under pressure from rising global oil prices, with the impact already being felt in higher transport and production costs across key sectors. The Central Bank of Kenya now projects inflation to edge up in the coming months, averaging 5.7% next month, rising to 6.0% in June and peaking at 6.2% in July 2026, before gradually easing. Mike Gongo with the details.
Kenya's economy is once again feeling the heat from the global oil market, with rising cost prices pushing up transport and production costs across key sectors. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, inflation is expected to average 5.7% next month, rise to 6.0% in June and peak at 6.2% in July 2026 before easing later in the year.
But despite the expected upward pressure from high energy prices, Kenya's overall inflation is expected to remain within the target range in the near term, and this will be supported by appropriate monetary policy actions, the expected stability in food prices attributed to favorable weather conditions, and a broadly stable exchange rate.
The surge is mainly attributed to higher energy costs driven by global supply disruptions.
The inflation is projected to increase in 2026, mainly driven by a sharp increase in energy prices and fertilizer costs due to supply chain disruptions, again attributed to the conflict in the Middle East.
Central Bank of Kenya links the pressure to global tensions affecting oil supply routes, such as the Strait of Hormuz, which has pushed landed fuel costs significantly higher. Diesel import costs have risen by nearly 69%, amplifying domestic inflation risk.
The oil prices have now risen sharply and are quite volatile, again due to the supply disruptions and the elevated uncertainties attributed to the conflict in the Middle East.
The Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry says the situation is already straining business and households, warning that fuel remains the backbone of the economy.
Kenya businesses cannot absorb another fuel shock of this magnitude without serious consequences on jobs, prices, and economic stability.
KNCCI Chief Executive Officer Kenneth Mutai says Kenyan business may not withstand another fuel shock, noting that transport costs have risen up by 25%, while production costs in manufacturing and agriculture are up between 15% and 30%.
Kenya's trade exposure to the Middle East, valued at over 700 billion annually, means that prolonged instability will directly affect key exports such as tea, coffee, horticulture, meat, undermining, of course, the foreign exchange earnings and market access.
For ordinary Kenyans, this means higher matatu fares, more expensive food prices and tighter households budgets in the months ahead. For the common mwananchi, the pressure is expected to persist in the coming months, unless global oil prices stabilize and domestic cost buffers take effect. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
Tonight, the UDA party has pushed back against opposition criticism over the fuel crisis, accusing its rivals of misleading Kenyans. Secretary General Hassan Omar says the current price pressures are driven by global factors, including the Middle East conflict. This comes amid claims and counterclaims over the government-to-government oil deal, with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and Justin Muturi drawn into the debate. Apollo Kamau now reports.
Profiteers instead of patriots.
A day after the United Opposition Alliance threatened nationwide demonstrations over rising fuel prices, the governing UDA party has pushed back, accusing the opposition of misleading Kenyans.
In an ensuing struggle to remain relevant, the opposition characters call for mass action over the fuel price increase that is driven by global shocks is outrageous, naive, and anarchist thinking, and it ignores the fundamental reality that petroleum pricing in import-dependent economies like Kenya is largely shaped by international market dynamics, geopolitical tensions, and supply chain disruptions beyond domestic policy control.
The party has also shifted focus to former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and former Attorney General Justin Muturi, accusing them of hypocrisy. UDA claims both were involved in the government-to-government oil import arrangement, contradicting Gachagua's recent criticism of the deal.
In normal circumstances, if it was government-to-government, these Middle East companies would be working either with NOC or with Kenya Pipeline Company, not private companies owned by William Ruto. So there is nothing like government-to-government.
It is particularly amusing to note that the impeached and disgraced former Deputy President has conveniently forgotten that he personally received the first G2G consignment on April 12, 2023 at the Kipevu Oil Terminal in Mombasa.
The party also defended recent government interventions, including the reduction of VAT on fuel from 16% to 8%, and the allocation of an additional 6.2 billion shillings aimed at stabilizing fuel prices.
Bado tuko na program, na hata leo rais ameitana mkutano mwingine na wale wanaohusika, tujue ni hatua gani ingine ambayo tunaweza chukua ili tuteremshe hiyo bei hata zaidi ya mafuta, tuirudishe mahali ilikuwa, ndio mwananchi asiumie.
UDA has also defended Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi and his state counterpart Lee Kenyanjui, rejecting calls for their resignation and opposing proposals to scrap key fuel-connected levies, such as the Infrastructure Fund.
Some of the major companies, like Shell and Total, were hoarding fuel, yet IPRA is keeping quiet. So IPRA, which should assist Kenyans by protecting them from hoarding an artificial shortage of fuel, are now part of corruption.
Kamau, TV47.
Tension remains high in Ishiara, Embu County, following the fatal shooting of 2 people during protest over poor services at Ishiara Level 4 Hospital. A specialized team of homicide detectives from the DCI headquarters has now been deployed to conduct a detailed forensic investigation. The move follows mounting pressure on the National Police Service to ensure accountability for the loss of lives. Michelle Mwangi reports.
Residents of Ishiara in Embu County are closely following developments surrounding the fatal shooting of 2 people during the recent protests over poor service delivery at Ishiara Level 4 Hospital. A special team of detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations arrived in the area today to begin a thorough probe into the incident. The regional police commander, Hilary Birgen, has strongly condemned the violence that led to the deaths, urging members of the public to remain calm and allow law enforcement agencies to complete their investigations.
We have romped in all investigative agencies, the DCI, the IPOA, and the Internal Affairs Unit.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union members conducted a spot inspection at Ishiara Level 4 Hospital. The union leaders say the safety of healthy workers is currently at risk due to the current state of infrastructure that has remained unchanged for more than 4 decades.
We ask for money to repair the facilities, to buy drugs. The chief officer for health sometimes makes those requests, but some of them they're so helpless, they come crying to us that Damiano amekatalia pesa. So, governor must decide whether she wants to serve the people of Embu or she wants to serve Damiano, because Damiano must go.
Renovations are not done, and the budget process is there. We've actually seen the budget which had allocated around 18.5 million shillings to go towards this infrastructure upgrade. As the community awaits the findings of the DCI investigation, the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, has ordered the immediate recall of the officer commanding station in the affected area to allow for proper investigations. Michelle Mwangi, TV47.
A routine oversight visit by the Senate Health Committee has exposed a healthcare system in deep crisis in Baringo County. Residents have raised concerns over poor services, shortages and system failures just days after Governor Benjamin Cheboy skipped a Senate summons to address the issue. Willie Dennis Njiru with more details.
Led by Chairperson Jackson Mandago, the committee's tour exposed widespread neglect across key health facilities, raising serious concerns about service delivery and accountability.
Of great concern is how the county government themselves vandalized the equipment that were in those facilities. The theater, the machines that were there. You know? We are even told that there was a vehicle that was supposed to be in that facility disappeared.
At Kimalel Sub-County Hospital, once renowned for treating tropical diseases such as Kalazar, scenes of dilapidated buildings, peeling paints and worn-out ceilings painted a grim picture.
Na wards pia imeharibika sana, hata ukiambiwa mtu
mwenye ujui kama lala kwa hii ward, nafikiri uweze lala.
The governor's failure to appear before the Senate intensified concerns about accountability at Baringo Referral Hospital, the county's largest health facility, which is grappling with drug shortages and the outsourcing of services such as X-ray machines, CT scanners, and dialysis units.
This is so embarrassing. It is so depressing. It is so sad. As a Kenyan, I am shocked that these things do exist in our country. A beautiful health center which has just been collapsed into zero.
The crisis has been worsened by recent industrial action by health workers, protesting low pay and long-delayed promotions, further straining already deteriorating services.
Our referral hospital is a dispensary health center. Ni hospitali ya pure kabisa. Tuko na madaktari, tuko na nurses, tuko na staff, lakini hapa management yake imekuwa zero.
Questions are now raised over how significant budget allocations to the health sector have failed to translate into better services, with leaders describing the situation as a stark condition. The county assembly has also been challenged to strengthen its oversight role for the benefit of residents.
I would want to urge the County Assembly Committee of Baringo to move with speed and urgency and ensure that that hospital is refurbished and reinstated to its old glory or make it better.
The Senate committee's findings have heightened calls for urgent interventions and accountability to restore health services and renew hope for the people of Baringo County. For TV47, I'm Willie Dennis Njiru.
This thing cannot even take 10 million to do a roof.
In other news, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops has condemned the rising cases of violence and hooliganism in political rallies and even places of worship. Speaking in Nairobi, the clergy urged the government to act swiftly to restore order and safeguard national unity. This report was prepared by Mwaluse Meshak.
Following the recent incidents of disruptions in political gatherings and even in places of worship across the country, the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops KCCB has condemned the acts and called on the government to take immediate action. Speaking in Nairobi on Thursday, led by KCCB Chairman Bishop Morris Muhatia, the bishops expressed concern over growing insecurity and the impact of organized groups of goons, which they say are endangering lives and undermining national stability.
People can't just move around killing others, threatening others, doing what they want in public forums. And the agencies in charge of security are watching as if nothing is happening.
According to the bishops, if the situation continues unchecked, it could lead to unrest and potentially disrupt the 2027 general election.
The proliferation of the culture of goons used to intimidate, bring disruptions in meetings, and even kill, can only thrive if it is sponsored and protected by powerful individuals.
The KCCB is now calling on the government through the Ministry of Interior, led by Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, to take firm action against those involved, including financiers behind the groups.
Moreover, it is happening in the sight of those in charge of security in our country and even our law enforcers.
From our leaders, both in the opposition and those in government, is a grave concern, and I think the persons responsible, especially those in security, need to move with speed to stem this situation from getting worse.
The clergy also urged the government to address key issues affecting Kenyans, including insecurity, challenges in Social Health Authority (SHA), and review the competence-based education system.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission says it is targeting up to 400,000 new voters in the diaspora as it expands registration ahead of the 2027 general election. Appearing before the National Assembly Diaspora Committee, Acting CEO Moses Unkuli said the commission will extend registration to 16 additional countries with significant Kenyan populations. However, he warned that a lack of funding could delay the process. Current data shows over 1.4 million Kenyans live abroad, but only about 10,000 are registered voters.
We are planning to begin by introducing what we call pre-registration, where where these Kenyans who are out there can register themselves on at the comfort of their phones and allocate themselves a schedule when they can go and get their biometrics taken. Because again, we are tied. Even technology is still the same framework, the same legal framework that is binding us to how we use the technology for purposes of election. So, but we are already beginning. We are piloting the pre-registration module where they can register from wherever they are and find time to come closer to where we will be for their biometric. During voter registration, it's very easy for us to reach them. It's very easy because our kids are mobile. We can move around, and that is actually the target. But it costs. It's costly, because again, we'll be moving around in a foreign country. So, but what we are doing is we could open up, like the U.S., Honorable Member did mention, Honorable Rashid, like in the U.S., we are now confined to only 3 areas in the U.S. D.C. because of our mission there, New York because of our mission, and LA because of our consulate there. So, for purposes of voting. However, for registration, we could actually move around. We could reach out. But because of the law, we are stuck to the 3.
A family in Nakuru County is in mourning following the alleged killing of a woman by her husband, a serving soldier. Police say the suspect, a KDF captain based at Gilgil Barracks, had a history of domestic disputes with the deceased. Mike Kialo reports.
Shattered furniture and broken doors inside this house paint a grim picture of the chaos and the violence surrounding the incident, pointing to the alleged brutality of Captain Edwin Kiunga, who is accused of killing his 29-year-old wife, Anita Mugweru. What reportedly began as a loving marriage is said to have turned into a troubled union marked by persistent conflict. Since their house help Winnie Meumbe arrived in December 2025, she claims the couple had been involved in frequent physical altercations. The situation is said to have worsened during the Easter period when Edwin was briefly detained following one such incident.
Anita alikuwa ametoka job, tuko na yeye tunapika. Kuja akaanza kukelelesha Anita. Anita akaenda bedroom ataka kelele, akakuja akavunja mlango. Akachukua simu ya Anita akavunja.
Anita amekuwa akimsaidia mara mingi, lakini Edwin akakuwa akimchapa, akimsumbua, anachukua pesa zake, anachukua kila kitu chake.
The conflict is reported to have escalated further this week, culminating in the fatal stabbing of Anita on Tuesday at 7 p.m. in the presence of their house help and their 4-year-old daughter.
Edu akakuja kitchen, akasimama, naona anaweka kisu huku nyuma. Kuitana Anita, alikuwa ameshamfikia. Nilishika na hizi mikono zote mbili. Baada akamlalia, kafinyilia.
Following Captain Kiunga's arrest, Anita's family has been left devastated, describing her as their sole breadwinner.
Alikuwa anatusaidia kama sister zake, alikuwa anakaa na sisi. Ndio sasa mimi nilikuwa nataka justice ya Anita ifuatiliwe. Ninasikia niko na uchungu sana.
The incident has also sparked fear among residents of Nakuru County, coming amid a worrying trend in which 4 women have been killed within a span of 1 month.
Tunakuwa so frustrated kwa sababu kesi zinaishia police, kesi zinaishia kotini.
Mike Chelo, TV47.
The High Court has extended orders halting the sale of a 15% stake in Safaricom PLC to Vodacom Group. The ruling means status quo orders issued on March 23rd remain in force, effectively suspending the multi-billion shilling deal pending hearing on April 27th. Stanley Nyaringita now gives us this report.
Businessman Tony Gashoka, Professor Fred Ogola and former Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko, as an interested party, have filed constitutional petition E051 of 2026, challenging the sale of a 15% stake in Safaricom PLC to Vodacom Group. Kalonzo Musyoka, who appeared as lead counsel, noted that the transfer of Safaricom's stake to a foreign-controlled entity is argued to threaten Kenya's data sovereignty and national security. The petitioners further argue that the sale significantly undervalued Safaricom and that the transaction did not allow sufficient time for public participation.
We strongly urge that your lordships favor the petitioners with the extension of these conservatory orders until the matters which are heavy are deliberated between your lordships and brought to a conclusion that will look and sound fair and just to the Kenyan people.
We have noted that the arguments which have been put forward by the legal counsel, and I go back to what Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka said, are substantive arguments to be made in the application for conservatory order.
On their part, the respondents maintain that there has been no allegation or proof that Parliament acted illegally in approving the proposed transaction in March 2026.
And it is clear from what I heard earlier from the petitioners that their house is not yet in order. They didn't know who they were suing. They didn't know what they wanted to claim. They now want to amend the petition. We don't know what the amendments are, and come before you with a cleaned up, polished case.
However, the bench clarified that no formal conservatory orders are currently in force, noting that earlier directions by Justice Lawrence Mugambi merely required the maintenance of the status quo pending the impanelment of the bench. Stanley Nyeringita, TV47.
Thank you so much for keeping it TV47. We are now taking a short commercial break. See you shortly.
Sikia, ni juicy. Flavor zote tamu tena fruity. Yummy na flow kama maji, juu ni tamu kama sali. Ni juicy. Are you bored? Kuna vitu zinakuudhi, usijali my bro, ibu kama taka juicy juni.
Azam TV, your favorite pay TV, just got even better. Effective 1st March 2026, we have added 5 amazing new TV channels to keep you entertained day and night. AMC Movies and Nolly Africa for the best of Nollywood movies and series. Music Box Hits and Music Box Dance for non-stop music hits and dance. And Manchester United TV for football fans. More movies, more music, more sports, all in one place.
Revisha ushinde. Open and save in your KCB Gold Savings account and win. Revisha ushinde. KCB, for people, for better.
Know your heroes. Timothy Cheruyot.
Mimi nilianza kukimbia nikiwa primary kidogo. Mahali nilijua sasa niko na talent nikiwa form 3. Na kulikuwa na wenzangu wa nyumbani walikuwa wameshakimbia, tunaona kwa gazeti, tunaona kwa TV. Lakini nilimaliza form 4, nikaenda nyumbani. Maisha yakanikonga 2012, 2013 mpaka nikafanya mchengo, hakuna kitu sijafanya. Alafu babangu 2014 akaniambia, we Timothy, unaweza kimbia. Kwa hivyo tafuta kambi, alafu wenda huko nitakusaidia kulipia. Silver. Yeah, 2016, Gold Coast, got silver in 2017 again, World Championship, London. And then I got silver in Commonwealth Games in Gold Coast. And then 2019, I got gold in World Championship Doha. And then 2020 Olympics, I got silver. I win 5 times Diamond. Kubeba bendera ya Kenya juu ni kitu mzuri sana. Kitu namwambia at least wenye wadogo wanaanza mazoezi, wako discipline na wajitegemee kwa Mungu.
Know Your Heroes is sponsored by Daka na Tatua. 30% of proceeds go towards nurturing talent at grassroots level.
Welcome back. Now, imagine stepping into a world where nothing is quite as it seems. The Museum of Illusions is offering visitors a unique experience that blends science, art, and entertainment, challenging perception and playing tricks on the mind. From upside-down rooms to mind-bending exhibits, the space is quickly becoming a hotspot for families, students, and content creators. Take a look.
Action. What if everything you see is not exactly what it seems? Opened in January 2025 at Luxon Court, the Museum of Illusion Nairobi features more than 60 exhibits designed to challenge perception and stimulate the mind. According to salesperson Casey Doreen, the museum blends international concepts with local creativity, including Kenyan-inspired installations such as vibrant matatu culture.
Every other location has something local to offer based on the city. And for us, since we are Nairobi, Nairobi is known for matatu culture. Behind me, at the top, you'll see a mural by Brian Omolo. It covers basically the Nairobi-themed culture, that is matatus and just the Nairobi vibe and all that.
Since its opening, the attraction has drawn both local and international visitors eager to experience its mind-bending displays, with many sharing their reactions to the interactive exhibits.
I've been hearing about it in social media, all the way from Uganda. That is why I had to come. I came with quite a number of people, my sister, my nephew, and my nephew is actually back there. So yeah, we came to experience what we were hearing back there.
Experts say the museum offers hands-on activities that not only entertain, but also help visitors understand how optical illusions work.
The Museum of Illusions is a fun and interactive space where people come here to challenge the perspective on how they view things. Sometimes what we call illusions are things that you imagine are there, but they're not actually there.
From shifting rooms to mind-bending illusions, the Museum of Illusion continues to create a blur line between imagination and reality. This helps the visitors to get an unforgettable experience here in the heart of Nairobi. Sally Davida, TV47, Nairobi.
For 18 years, Winfred Gasheri has served on the front lines of resource-based conflict-prone Laikipia County, a career that highlights the resilience and strength women bring to the security sector. Samira Mohammed spent a day with her in Doldol, Laikipia County, as she opens up about her journey and life in the police service.
I am Winfred Gasheri Kinoti. I've served in administration police service for 18 years, and this is my story.
Doldol, Laikipia County. A charming town nestled within a valley embraced by gentle hills. 52 kilometers directly north of Nanyuki. This settlement serves as a vital market center for its residents and the surrounding rural communities. As the largest urban hub in Mukogodo Eastward and the broader Laikipia North constituency, Doldol plays a central role in local commerce and social life. Amidst this tranquil setting, we meet Corporal Winfrey Gasheri, a respected police officer in the community. Her presence in this community symbolizes the blend of tradition.
We do apologize for that technical hitch. We will air that story later on in the bulletin. Now, moving on. For many mothers, pregnancy brings both joy and uncertainty, with questions and fears that can quickly turn dangerous without timely support. But now, an AI-powered SMS platform known as Prompt is changing that reality. The service is helping mothers in 24 counties recognize danger signs early and seek help in time, potentially saving lives through simple mobile technology.
Every 2 minutes, a mother dies from pregnancy or childbirth-related complications. And every minute, 4 to 5 children don't even get the chance to begin their lives. These aren't just numbers, they're empty cradles, families shattered for life. But here's a shift. Around the world, health systems are working to stop the clock on preventable deaths.
Wakati nilijua niko ujauzito, kitu ilikuja kwa akili ya kwanza ni jinsi ya kumlea mtoto na venye nitajipanga katika ujauzito wangu. Na pia complications na the danger signs zenye zinaweza zikatokea.
Just like many first-time moms, Prudence Musundi felt both the electric rush of joy and the heavy heartbeat of anxiety. She scrolled endlessly, gathering fragments of wisdom and reassurance, determined to shield herself and the tiny life growing within her. But when she first attended the clinic, she was introduced to something new.
Niliambiwa kuna messages nitakuwa napata. In case I have any question or concern, naweza tuma hapo. Then after some months, ndio nikaanza kufeel different. So nikakumbuka, nikawauliza, ndio nikapewa feedback. Nikapata it is more easier.
This two-way SMS service, known as Prompts and developed by Jacaranda Health, would help her understand more about her journey and ease her anxiety. Prudence had memorized the danger signs like a haunting melody: bleeding, dizziness, lower back pain. When they began to stir in her own body, she turned to a trusted ally.
Mostly ukienda kwa hospital sections za maternity, unaonanga wameka hapo labels, wanasema the danger signs in pregnancy, then unapata back pain iko among them. So wakati ilikuja, I had to send a message, but sasa message nilipata feedback, at least ilinipea moral na ikanipea solution. So nikaambiwa like ninaweza massage because the baby pressure imekuwa exacted, ameongeza weight. Wakati nilipata blood stain kwa mucus and it was my 3rd trimester, hii trimester ya mwisho. So I was worried. Nikawa najiuliza nimefika ama niko na shida gani? Nikatuma message, then immediately nikareplyiwa, nikaambiwa causes zenye zinaweza kuwa the reasons. Maybe nikaambiwa it might be infection, hemorrhoids, pia sign of labor.
In Kenya, motherhood carries a shadow that numbers alone can't fully describe. Every year, 5,000 women lose their lives while giving life. Many of those deaths are preventable. Without timely, trusted information, mothers are forced to play wait and see when the first signs of trouble appear. That single pause accounts for 30% of maternal deaths in the country. That is 1,500 mothers every year. For mothers like Winnie Atieno, prompts was the nudge that made her act with speed.
Nikienda choo, nikaona stain of blood. Nikashtuka. Sijaiona kitu kama hiyo nikiwa na mimba. Wakaniambia maybe inaweza kuwa uko na infection, ndio inaweza cause hiyo stain of blood. Ama ni first trimester na second trimester ndio mtu anaona hiyo, but ikizidi sana inaweza kuwa maybe ni miscarriage. Niliwa text immediately, wakanipigia simu. Wakaniambia kama sijaenda kuona daktari, niende nione daktari. Na immediately nikaenda nikaona daktari, ilikuwa kama emergency, nikashughulikiwa, nikafanyiwa scanning, wakapata mtoto wako sawa. Wakanipima test, walikuwa nafikiria maybe ni infection, nikapatikana sina infection yoyote.
Every day, the system receives about 10,000 questions. Within minutes, AI answers about 70% of them. The remaining more complex questions are elevated to dedicated help desk agents, trained clinical nurses who step in with human expertise. 94% of high-risk mothers flagged by prompts receive care.
Daktari kama kukaribu, swali ziko mingi. Lazima nitauliza swali. Nilouliza kama mtu anaweza dungwa injection ya tetanus mara 2. Wakanijibu, wakaniambia injection unadungwa mara 2, but kuna ile ya kwanza before ujifungue na kuna ile ya pili kama umeshajifungua.
Severe abdominal pain and reduced fetal movement are among the most common maternal danger signs reported. For Lilian Apio, the support didn't end with childbirth.
Vile nilizaa na mtoto macho yake ilikuwa yellow green, ni yellowish. Niliwauliza what caused this? Wakaniambia maybe it can be infections, so unaweza enda kwa nearest facility. Nilienda hosi, nikapewa dawa. Vile nilizaa, sasa kitovu ya mtoto ilikatika. Sasa vile ilikatika, akachukua 1 week. Sasa hiyo kitovu tena ikaanza kulink. Yani ilikuwa inatoa maji. Nikawauliza, sasa mimi pia nilishindwa, kitovu ya mtoto inaweza toka maji aje?
Warning signs like fever and jaundice are among the most common concerns in the fragile days after birth. Data from Jacaranda Health shows a transformation in how mothers now engage with their own care, quietly shaping healthier behaviors every day. More antenatal visits, more women choosing to exclusively breastfeed, and more mothers embracing postpartum family planning.
There's a mother who came in who had a headache and was kind of bleeding. She read the danger signs from the prompts, and we took her vitals, which her blood pressure was high. It was kind of an emergency. We had to call an ambulance to refer to the nearest hospital, which is Home of Untold Stories, since we don't have maternity around here. So it reduces the amount of the time they come into the hospital not knowing what's urgent and what's not urgent.
Even in urban neighborhoods like Huruma, many mothers still turn to traditional birth attendants, trusted figures who've guided generations through childbirth. But that too is beginning to change.
Women ignored a lot. So they'll mostly seek medical attention from other sources. Here in Mathare, we call them Japolo, but most of the deaths occur on estates around because of the not having the knowledge that they should be going to the hospital.
Nikiwa na mimba ya kwanza sikuwa na kitu kama hiyo. But unajua ukienda mahali upate kuna mtu anaweza kuku-encourage kitu, una follow up. Sasa nikaamua maybe inaweza nisaidia kwa zile ya kwanza kuna mtu mwenye alikuwa karibu wa kunisaidia.
For Different Media, I'm Sheila Sendeyo.
Kenya's grain millers are now raising the alarm over rising aflatoxin risks, high compliance cost, and weak regulation. Industry players say the cost of producing fortified flour is nearly double that of non-compliant products, creating unfair competition. They are now calling for stricter enforcement, incentives, and investment in technology to protect consumers and stabilize the market.
Whereas the consistent millers who have brands who they need to protect are constantly going to be raising the bar on testing. There are a lot of others who are happily receiving contaminated grain. And this is where we have a serious problem, because this contaminated grain is still reaching our food chains and our tables and our plates, for all we know. And that's why we keep saying that as the CMA, it is our role, it is our responsibility to make sure that what we put on the table there is safe even for our own children to consume. And we have the strength of a lot of our partners to do this. But if there's no commitment from those of your business leaders to do it, then it's not going to work. At the CMA, I think one of our strongest strengths is the legacy that we have. A lot of our mills are family-owned businesses, and they've been in existence for many, many years. For them, producing safe food is just not business. It's about protecting their legacy, their names, their families. It's about protecting the consumers that they have worked so hard to build over the years.
Kenyan importers are being urged to strengthen risk management amid global economic uncertainty. Experts say businesses must adapt to currency fluctuations, supply chain disruptions, and geopolitical tensions. They recommend hedging foreign exchange exposure and improving liquidity management to remain resilient.
For importers and exporters, success in this environment requires more than participation alone. It calls for timely insights, timely intelligence, disciplined risk management, and working, of course, with partners such as ourselves who have a deep understanding of global financial markets and local operating conditions.
It's just not about avoiding uncertainty, but about converting uncertainty into opportunity. These small nuances is how you're going to win in an environment like this. And therefore, they look forward to this giving you the confidence to, to expand in your business in an environment like this.
Hotpoint Appliances has launched a new strategy targeting the built-in kitchen market. The company unveiled a multi-brand portfolio including SMEG, Bosch, Vaughan and Hisense, aimed at homeowners and developers. The firm says the move will simplify the project planning through bundled solutions and flexible supply options.
These days there's so many apartments available, so to really distinguish yourself, the kitchen has become a key area. You know, I moved home recently and everybody knows the wives have a big say. And the first thing the wife will go is go and check the kitchen. That's where she feeds the whole family from. So the kitchen is so important when someone selects their house, and built-in appliances just give the kitchen a completely different look and feel. It's aesthetically and from a design perspective, it's so much more superior than standalone appliances. And it's kind of become the norm now. It's also become so much more affordable.
No matter the size of the project, no matter the nature of the project, we really like to customize our appliances. It could be logos, it could be features, it could be colors, it could be specifications. So it's not just the logo, the size, the dimension, the finish. We're able to customize to any.
We're taking another short commercial break. We'll be back right now.
On the next episode of Connect In.
Good morning, miss. Welcome to Connect In.
These are the finest hoteliers ever assembled. This is our sous chef, who will be running to check on the tomato paste.
Enchanté de vous rencontrer. Oui, oui, tout appelle.
She is deaf and dumb. There is nothing Connect In does not provide.
Except drugs.
Of course.
What is wrong with you people?
Connect In, Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m.
You have to be very careful. Fake money can kill business.
Na leo mko rada yangu.
Small money, kapesa kadogo, big behavior.
I only have big notes.
Alikuwa anatafuta courage.
Yaani nafaje kutengeneza kachumbari na manyanya zinakaa hivi? Ona kiki ni kama kiwaru.
Hiyo ni tonga commitment to the lie. Amejicommit.
Ndio hiyo. Mpatie.
Unajua kama una mtu kitu, hata tu salamu ya kawaida inakaa kama reminder.
Habari yako?
Sintalipa kesho.
Kesho gani when?
Si kesho ya kesho ya tomorrow.
Hiyo tena. Mzee ni burudike mchoka.
Ni burudike madeni.
Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on TV47.
I just want to be in the zone.
Nairobi, where the hustle never sleeps and neither do the scammers.
Link Up, we are talking about something that's affecting all of us. We are talking trust.
We're diving into the campus life.
I just want to be in the zone.
Stay fresh, stay safe,
stay linked up.
Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports, where Kenya's under-17 women's national team, the Junior Starlets, have intensified preparations ahead of their crucial second-round clash against Namibia in the 2026 World Cup qualifiers this Saturday. The Kenya women's national under-17 football team head into the return leg with a slender advantage after securing a 2-1 victory over the Namibia women's national under-17 football team in the first leg played away in Namibia. The winner of that leg will advance to face either the Uganda women's national under-17 football team or the Zimbabwe women's national under-17 football team in the next round, bringing them one step closer to global qualification. Kenya is once again chasing a historic appearance at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, having made their debut in 2024.
Inspired that Kenya Under-17 team has qualified for the World Cup before.
So they're also looking to go back. It's pretty difficult, it's a long journey, but we are preparing them to be up to the task, and hopefully we are hoping for the best.
Some of the team that remained from the under-20s that also played in the under-20s, also played in the World Cup. And then you look at your technical team, the number of people that you have around you supporting, carrying the team, it just shows that you mean business. Also, the fact that you will be hosting AFCON next year together with Tanzania and Uganda shows the commitment of your federation and the government of Kenya in terms of development of sport and particular football.
The 2026, sorry, I do apologize for that. English Premier League side Arsenal will face Atletico Madrid of Spain in the semi-finals of the UEFA Championships League after eliminating Sporting CP in the quarter-finals. In the other semi-final, German giants Bayern Munich will take on French powerhouse Paris Saint-Germain in what promises to be a high-stakes clash. The final of the UEFA Champions League is scheduled for May 30th, 2026.
Space as a shoots. It was always going a bit too high over the bar.
My father used to tell me that a hotel is the home for travelers. I guess I forgot that. Recently, it's been more of a mirror of my own ambition. We might fail. We will probably fail, but not for a lack of trying. So for the last time, and the first time, welcome to Connect In.
At Muthaiga Golf Club, as Sevi Soni and Kanana Muthomi were crowned overall champions following 4 days of intense and high-quality junior action. Soni clinched the boys' title in a dramatic final hole showdown, while Muthoni produced a composed performance to dominate the girls' field, underscoring the depth of emerging talent in Kenya's junior golf scene.
To be honest, for me, it was just doing what I can. I mean, I was prepared for him to make an eagle or a birdie. I mean, I just tried to hit every shot as good as I could and see what happened.
Although I was 1 under before coming to the last, and then I kind of let my mental guard down. Although the course wasn't playing too hard today, maybe just second 9 pin positions were a bit more difficult.
Started on Monday here at Muthaiga Golf Club with 80 participants who registered, 72 who teed off, and we had 33 plus ties who are 35 players who played Wednesday and Thursday. And today we've been able to crown the winners, the boy champion, the stroke play champion for the year, and the girls stroke play champion for the year. What we have noted is that we've had the winners win with lower scores than previous years. We've also had new winners.
And that brings us to the end of TV47 Prime tonight. We are coming to you live from the Museum of Illusion. Thank you very much for such a warm and spectacular hosting. Thank you very much, Museum of Illusions. You've been watching TV47 Prime. My name is Peter Kamau. Have yourself a lovely night.
man's daily hustle. But there's always time for the game. Some go by instinct, others run the numbers. Some live for the thrill, some play chill. No matter who you are or how you play, only emotions count. This is your moment, your move, your success formula. That's